Tonight we're going to be discussing the Alternative National Congress has a viable alternative to the George Weah-led administration. With me to discuss this is the Secretary of the Youth Congress. He calls it the Indomitable Youth Congress of the Alternative National Congress, Mr. Moba Keseli. Mr. Keseli, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Good evening, Dennis. Good evening to your audience. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and I'm elated that you gave me such a platform to talk about the Alternative National Congress, its draft to change governance in Liberia for the better of the Liberian public. These interactions are very healthy for our democracy going forward. And so we are privileged at any time to keep talking about the issues that matter. And through these dialogues, we can find a way to make our country a better country, and we ourselves can become a better people. So again, I'm happy to be here. I want to say thanks for giving me this platform.
Thank you so much. We are excited to have you as a representative from the Alternative National Congress. We have made frantic efforts to get other members and officials of the ANC on this platform to talk about the issues. Several times we have invited Mr. Alexander Cummins, and it has not been possible. We have gone through all the channels that he told us, but this has not been very possible. We have contacted other officials of the Alternative National Congress, both in Liberia and also here, and this has not been possible. So we are very delighted to have you. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Keseli, for attending and agreeing, accepting to be here. All right. We are having some trouble with his connection, but again, we are very delighted to have Mr. Moba Keseli, Secretary General of the Youth Wing of the Alternative National Congress, that's the ANC, of Mr. Alexander Cummins. Mr. Momba accepted to be part of this. We have been carrying on a series of debates on the viability of the Liberian opposition as a group that's going to replace the current administration come 2023 or thereafter. So we have given this platform tonight exclusively to the ANC to make her case why she thinks she can be the one to replace the current administration, why the ANC think that it's viable and credible enough to replace the administration. We are happy to have Mr. Moba Keseli. He's having some connection issues, so I believe he's going to be with us shortly. While we wait for him, I want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe to this edition of Focus on Liberia. Here, we don't take side. The views of those that come on the platform represent their views and not the management of Focus on Liberia. Tonight, we're going to be listening to Mr. Moba Keseli, who's going to make the case for the ANC. By the way, Mr. Keseli is from Lofa County. He said he was born onto the blessed union of Mr. Moses M. Keseli and Mrs. Lopu Keseli in Bazewan, Zozo district. So while we wait for him, I want you to invite a friend, and we're going to be opening the phone lines in the middle of the discussion so that you can be a part of it. We are one people, Liberia, Liberia, let reconcile today. Reconciliation is the key to peace and unity. I've posted the conference line for the discussion tonight. So if you want to take part later on, just dial into the conference number and enter the queue. At the appropriate time, we're going to be opening our phone lines so that we can hear from you to make the case for or against the Alternative National Congress as a viable alternative to replace the current Weah administration. They say, you know, government comes, government goes. So The Weah administration is in power now, but it's not going to be there forever. And the opposition will be the one to take over. So at this point, we want to be able to vet the opposition to say, okay, let's see what you got. Our desire to always change the current administration should not leave us blindsided from vetting the current administration. Again, we're going to have Mr. Kessley shortly. All right. As we await Mr. Kessley, I'm going to be joined by my guest co-host shortly. But while we wait for Mr. Kessley, again, I'm posting the phone lines, and we can begin the discussion while we wait. It is very important that we discuss the opposition. The opposition definitely, as someone said, the government in waiting. So we want to take time to talk about the opposition so that the opposition make their case. We are accustomed to not hearing from the opposition that much. We are accustomed to not having too many debates about the issues in Liberia. Most of the time we take side even before we hear from those who want to lead us. We want to change that dynamic this time around so that we begin engaging the opposition as they continue to make their case, and not to have a blanket approval just because we want the administration, the current administration out, or just because we don't like the current administration, or just because we are opposed to them. We need to also take time to vet those who want state power. That is the goal. And so Mr. Momba Kessley, that's the Secretary of the Youth Wing of the Alternative National Congress, ANC, is going to make the case for the ANC tonight, why he thinks the ANC is a viable alternative to replace President George Weah and his government come 2023 or thereafter. In fact, even 2020, when there are some seats that are going to be open on Capitol Hill that they're going to be contesting. We are having some technical issue with the line of Mr. Kessley. He tells me that it's raining in Monrovia, and so he's having difficulty with his internet. So in the meantime, if you are available, you can call in. Let's have this discussion. If you are a sympathizer or a partisan of the ANC, please feel free to jump in, to call in, and let's talk about it. If you think the ANC is not a viable alternative, you can also call in and let's hear from you. Here at Focus on Liberia, we want to elevate, we want to educate, we want to promote all things Liberia. And in so doing, we want to discuss the issues. It is always a good thing to talk about the issues, not personalities, not people. So, Mr. Kessley, I know you're having a tough time over there. Welcome again to Focus on Liberia.
Yeah, sorry, I think my internet went out or something, so.
Okay. Again, want to thank you. It's a privilege that you are here. We are glad to have you. As I was saying, we have tried a couple of times to get other ANC members and leaders, including Mr. Kessley or Mr. Cummings, but it has not been possible. For some reason, it was appearing to us that maybe the ANC love to talk to the choir instead of coming to talk outside. But we're glad to have you.
Well, Mr. Jah, as I said initially, I'm happy that you extended the invitation to me. And it's a privilege to be able to talk to another set of Liberians who you may not want to consider the choir, but I think we are open to talk to everyone, irrespective of your political persuasions. There might have been hitches here and there, but those are always open to discuss Liberia because that's how we can become a better country. So again, I'm excited to be here this evening.
Again, thank you so much. Just a brief introduction of our guest tonight. Mr. Kessley was born to the union of Mr. Moses M. Kessley and Mrs. Lapu Kessley in Bazewen, Zaza District, Lofa County, Liberia. He began his formative academic years at the Lutheran Training Institute in Lofa and completed his secondary education at the Lombardia International School System, Monserrato County, where he served as president of the Student Council government. He is enrolled at the African Methodist Episcopal University, that's AMEU, where he is pursuing a degree in management and accounting. He holds a diploma in intermediate English from the World English Institute, USA, a certificate on policy, advocacy, governance, and leadership, Young Political Leadership School, a certificate on capacity development in the transport sector, Liberian National Red Cross, a certificate in small business management, Mercy Corps Liberia, and several certificates in conflict resolution, peace building, Mado United Nations diplomacy. Mr. Kessley is the current Secretary General of the Indomitable, he wants me to underline that, Indomitable National Youth Congress in the Alternative National Congress. In his position, he runs the day-to-day activities of the Youth Congress, coordinate the affairs of all its constituent members, perform all such services, and exercise all such powers and authorities as may be exercised by the Secretariat. He also serves as a legislative research analyst in the office of Senator Daniel F. Nathan, Liberian Senate. As legislative research analyst, Mr. Kessley is responsible to research information from relevant offices and report to the senator. Mr. Kessley, once again, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Again, I would like to say thanks for extending this invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to all your audience.
Right. Thank you. Let's get this started. Talk to me briefly about the youth wing or the youth congress of the ANC. What is it all about and what do you do?
Well, the Indomitable National Youth Congress, which is the largest constituent member of structure within the ANC, is primarily focused on young people. And that is the umbrella in the ANC that houses every initiative of young people within the ANC. And it covers the entire Liberian Republic. And it is a legal structure, and so it has members in the executives of the Youth Congress sitting on the executive committee of the party structure. So we are focused on driving youth-related programs within the ANC and ensuring that the people in the youth sector have a voice within the party structure. And we have other auxiliaries that are supporting the ANC, but they all fall under the Indomitable National Youth Congress. And so we are, the face of the young people within the ANC.
Thank you so much. So let's get right into it. The ANC has a viable alternative to replace the current administration. Make the case for the ANC, why you think the ANC is viable and credible to replace the current George Weah-led administration.
Okay, the Alternative National Congress, I want to say the mass-based Alternative National Congress, is right now the fastest growing political party within Liberia. One of the reasons that contributes significantly to our growth within the Liberian political scene is that we offer, unprecedented solutions, and we offer platforms that are uncommon to the Liberian body politics. We are not in the business of doing things as in time past, the things that have failed us. We are offering a renewed energy. We are offering a new way of doing things. And so within the party, we are focused on giving Liberia back to Liberians and putting Liberia first. And that is something we've not seen in Liberia since the founding of Liberia in 1847. We've had a more centralized, form of government, where not only that our institutions are in Monrovia, but even with the way governance is run, it's about, usually a specific group of people sitting at a specific place, who make the decisions. So most of the things we've done since the founding of Liberia have been centralized. And so the practices of good governance have not been put to adequate use. Now, as the alternative to this government and all other governments before, we come offering to live within the characteristics that constitutes good governance. And those characteristics are basically the rule of law, transparency, responsiveness, equity and inclusiveness, effectiveness and efficiency, accountability, and participation. To a greater extent, our constitution gives us a platform as Liberian citizens to participate in decision-making processes. But again, most of the time after the elections, our people, who get elected, when it comes to Monrovia, again, everything becomes centralized. And so the participation of the citizens within decision-making processes becomes, very minute to an extent where it is literally non-existent. Now, to come as a government and succeed, you need to ensure that the broader base of the Liberian population is involved, not only during electioneering times. And that is one focus we have as a party. Even the way we run our structures, we want to ensure that a broader, segment of our society contributes and adequately participates in what is happening. We have to get rid of these centralized systems that have already failed, because things become primarily centralized because of the patronage that we've seen since 1847. And so not much has been done to involve our people in decision making. It's been kept way down the line. And sometimes they only get to hear things that government feels they should hear. It contributes to misinformation. And misinformation adequately contributes, to creating problem and rise, as we see, currently, as much as misinformation does. So people do not get the information, and so they do not participate. It's just about the people way at the top there, and they make all the decisions, and they expect, Liberians down Waterside in West Point to literally cop down the decisions they make, and it does not work like that. So the ANC will ensure Liberians participate in the decisions we make. We come to accountability. Accountability has been a serious challenge for.
Mr. Kesseley, before, I know you cover a lot of grounds. So, and we're gonna go into it as the night goes by. But you mentioned one word, which is structure. Start with me. Give me a picture of the structure of the ANC. If when you come to leadership, let's say organizational structure, who's the party?
Well, the ANC. Okay, the ANC has the chairman, the political leader, who is Mr. Alexander Cummins, the chairman, Senator Daniel Nathan, and he has a court of executives, the deputy chair for administration of operation, the secretary general, and then you have the youth congress and the women congress. And yeah, that's how the whole organizational structure of the ANC looks like.
So what's the difference between the office of the chairman and the office of the political leader?
Well, the chairman runs the party. He is responsible for the party. Well, while the political leader is basically the political face of the party. He serves as our candidate if we were to have an election. It is the person we feed as our presidential candidate. So he basically is responsible for ensuring that policies that are crafted and drafted by the party through the chairman are implemented when he gets into government.
Okay, so this is a political party. So a political party, definitely, these are all. So the chairman is also a political face. But if you say the political leader is the standard bearer, are you saying you determine your standard bearer far ahead of convention before deciding in a primary or anything of that nature?
The political leader is elected at the convention. We elected our political leader just on the 5th of May, 2019 in Ganta. And other corps of officers. In fact, that's how we came in, and the current, breed of leaders, they got elected at the Ganta convention. And the ANC constitution provides that after every general election, we go to, a national convention where we elect a new corps of officers to lead the party of a period of 5 years. And then when we go into elections, we have a primary, and that's when we can choose the standard bearer. But at this time, after elections, we have a political leader, not a standard bearer. We can only have a standard bearer when we are going to the election nearing time.
Okay, yeah, because that seems to be a new phenomenon in Liberia now, having a political leader who is AKA standard bearer.
Yeah. But if we were to have any elections today, it is the political leader who will be our standard bearer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's the structure. I don't question your structure. So what you stress, what makes the ANC different from other political parties that have come and gone, including the current or incumbent or the current political party that is in power? How is the ANC different?
Well, I was, laying, some of the things that make the ANC different. And, I'll basically talk about participation. That's one thing we don't see with the current government. They don't involve Liberians in the decisions they make. And another thing that's lacking and that the ANC comes with, the governance, is accountability. Look, we don't have to talk about accountability just for the mere, satisfaction of a certain group of people. We obviously have to be accountable at every stage of our governance process to Liberian citizens, because our governments, since the founding of the nation, feels obligated to talk to Liberians about accountability or be accountable to people only when we go to election time. But it should not be like that. And one thing the ANC comes with is that we have to be accountable to our people at every stage of the processes, that lead to the decisions we make. And besides, under accountability comes the issue of, anti-graft or anti-corruption.
Right.
So,
Mr. Kasali, how is the ANC demonstrating that accountability as of today?
Well, if you look in our structure, you will see that the ANC is today accountable as a party to her partisans, because we have an open process. Take, for example, every month we ensure that we publish the listing of our partisans who contribute their dues, and we ensure that all of the processes. Take, for example, the convention we had in Ganta, we had to make it open. Every stage of the processes, that lead to decisions we make within the party are very open to the least partisan or the one way down the line. Anyone from anywhere gets to know what is happening within the party. So today, literally every member of the ANC who goes at the party headquarters know who paid their dues last month and who hasn't paid, who's owing and how much they owe. So that's how, you come with openness and you can be held accountable. So if anything happens with the funds we raise as a party, then everyone, know who to choke. As our political leader will say, we have someone who will be able to choke, when something goes wrong, and we have someone who will be able to embrace, when the party succeeds.
Yeah, one thing that is the problem with most Liberian political parties is they often center around one person. So if for any reason anything was to happen to your political leader today, who takes charge?
Now, just to give a little historical background to what you've asked, that's how politics has been for a long time in Liberia. Since the True Party, got kicked out of power, that's something that has, been repeated over and over and again. We've built our parties around individuals instead of institutions. Now, as a political party, the ANC is gradually trying to pivot from being a political party that only lives throughout the lifespan of its political leader. In an instance where when the political leader leaves, then the party ceases to exist. Now, we are strengthening the institution, because one thing that gives political leaders that much leverage and power is because political parties do not, raise fundings to be able to sustain, the expenses of the party. Yeah. And so the person with the biggest pocket, most of the time in nearly all political parties in Liberia, is the one that, makes the call. Now, as an institution, we are trying as hard as possible and working. By the way, to be honest with you, this takes a process. It is not an event. And that's why we are working gradually to ensure that we leave from that place where we can survive as an institution without our political leader, you know. And that's why we want to ensure our members are paying their dues. We check on them, because if we have funding as a party, we can be able to register our own candidates. We can be able to take care, you know, of our yearly expenses. We would not have, you know, to be centered around one person, you know, and that person will literally be like a demagogue. But when we, as a party, can be able to raise our own fundings to fund our activities, look, the party will survive irrespective of who stays or who leaves.
Right. So, but you are not there yet. So for now, you are centered around Mr. Cummings.
No. We are not there today, to be honest with you, but we are working seriously to get there. You know, the ANC in 2017 is definitely not the ANC today. Now the party takes care of our own expenses. You know, the political leader doesn't have to be in Liberia anymore for the ANC to succeed. We haven't reached there quite yet, but we are working. We're not too far, you know, but we are still working. We are having challenges here and there, but once we keep addressing those challenges, you know, in the not too distant future, we'll be, you know, a party that is an institution instead of an individual, you know, political party.
It's a work in progress. I understand. So where is Mr. Jeremiah Solonte, who was the vice standard bearer? Is he still part of the party, or we're going to wait and election time we get on the hunt for find a new VP? What's going on there?
Well, Ambassador Solonte is heavily involved in the Liberian politics. He's in the party. He is an executive of the ANC. And in fact, he is poised to be the candidate the ANC will feed in Bon County. As we speak, Ambassador Solonte is heavily engaging the people of Bon County and talking with them to ensure that come the 2020 senatorial election, we can feed him as a candidate in Bon County. So it's not that he's sitting, he's involved with everything that's happening within the party, and he's heavily involved with activities in Bon County where he's aspiring to serve as senator in 2020.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing with Mr. Mobad Kesali. He's the secretary of the Youth Congress of the Alternative National Congress, and he's joining us from Monrovia. If you are just joining us and you want to call in, the number is posted. So from the ANC, let's discuss. First of all, even before I go to Mr. Cummings as the standard bearer, when you say the Alternative National Congress, you came out of the CDC, is that correct? Or what is it that you are alternative to? Anytime you talk of alternative, we want to see what you are comparing yourself with. Is it a CDC or what?
No, we did not come out of the CDC or any other political party. The truth is, individual members of the ANC were formerly members of other political parties. And then they left and then joined the ANC. And most of the people who helped to form the ANC may have been aligned to the CDC and other political parties. That does not necessarily mean the ANC is a subset of the CDC. No, we are ideologically different. Yes, the truth of the matter is most of the political parties in Liberia are different to a certain extent, but to a greater extent, they're not much different.
You know,
when I say this, what I mean is that the problems we have to face as a country are not different in the ANC or different in the CDC or different in the United Party or in other political parties. We all are facing the same problems. The difference is our approach to solving the problems. Now, that's what makes us the alternative. Because listen, it is not going to be business as usual. It has to be totally different. We have to totally gravitate from what it's been like. You know, the politics of deceit and the politics of repeating the mistakes of the past, I think we are distinguishing ourselves from. We don't want to repeat those mistakes. We can keep doing the same things other political parties and expect different results. So as an alternative, we are offering totally new dimensions. You know, in Liberia, we kind of used to political parties come into elections, and after the elections, they all go back into their corners. The political leader leaves, and everybody said, 1 year to election, the political party gets active and they get involving, and after that, everybody goes and said again. Look, if you see the ANC, we've remained involved with the governance of Liberia. We've engaged the government on numerous occasions. We are ensuring that we provide solutions for most of the problems this government is faced with. Because listen, when we help this government to address the challenges she has, when we get elected as a political party, we will not have to address those very things this government has addressed. That means collectively as a nation and people, we'll be making progress. And that makes us the alternative. Usually in Liberian politics, it's about, okay, Senator, let us say, let's keep our ideas in our box. When our time comes, we do what we want to do. So they don't have the next.
And we're going to go specifically to this administration and see how you can fix the issues that this administration having. But before we get there, what is the ideology of the ANC? I think like 8 years ago, I wrote an article saying, how are Liberian political parties different? Are they just different by faces? Or is it any ideology, the philosophy, what the party believes in? How do you believe to grow the economy? How the parties believe to approach education, all those different things. So what is the ANC ideology? And after that, I'm going to be bringing in our colors.
Now, as I was saying earlier, before you came in, there are several things we need to do. Now, our economy is struggling basically today because the processes that should help us as a country and people to make our economy stronger are not being observed. Now, we run largely governments that are not transparent. Are you there?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, governments that are not transparent. Now, as a party, one of the ideological differences we offer is that we make transparency a pivotal, a very important umbrella of our party. The rule of law and responsiveness. We have to be responsive to our people. Equity and inclusiveness. We have to include our people in the things we do. Effectiveness and efficiency. Those are things that are very important. Now, and then all of those can come. The anti-corruption can come. The issue of our press freedom can come. Education. Because listen, when you ensure that we live within the confines of the rule of law, you are ensuring that every Liberian citizen living in Liberia knows that, hey, if Mobile steals, Mobile gets prosecuted equally as Ja. No matter what Ja's proximity, will be to the political leader or the standard bearer. It has to be everyone treated at the same level, everyone held at the same standards. So we've gotten totally rid of double standards. It's everybody at the same level. And when you do that, you increase the confidence of your citizens within the government, and then they themselves can be able to even invest in the government. The processes that lead to growing the economy, that lead to making our education better. Because if you don't improve on the rule of law, look, nothing will work.
Right.
If you are not transparent, nothing will work.
Those are in kind of vague terms, right? Because every party says that the rule of law, agriculture, education. But what specifically does the ANC? Let me give you an example. Like when we come to the rule of law, does the ANC believe in the death penalty? It may be something outside the scope of this discussion, but I'm just giving an example like that. What specifically does the ANC believe in? Does the ANC believe, like when it comes to the economy, even though we're not economy, but supply side economy, or how ANC intend to grow the economy? How does ANC intend to reduce the inflation? How does ANC intend to maybe decentralize? Do we have a central bank in every county? What in specific terms, what does the ANC intend to do?
Okay, that's a whole colossal of questions there.
Yeah, I just want to talk about.
I told you when I was doing bit by bit, like you talk about the economy, you talk about education, you talk about the rule of law. So that makes it a lot of bucket. And then you have to give me a longer time to be able to sectoral.
Let's give an example. Does the ANC believe the death penalty, true or false?
No, as a political party, obviously I can't give you a definitive statement because that's something we've not, made a decision about. But by the way, the death penalty at this current dispensation is something we're getting rid of around the world. We have other means of punishing our citizens. we don't necessarily have to go and take people and hang them, to say we enforcing the rule of law. No, that's not what we mean by the rule of law. I talk about the rule of law and you say, I was vague, but I wasn't vague. I said we need a standardized prosecution. For example, we need to ensure we hold every Liberian citizen at the same standard. It cannot be, double standards or different standards. I talk about that. And then I was talking about transparency and responsiveness. And then you're talking about the economy. Now, if you want me to talk about the economy, you have to give me a time to address.
I just wanted to give example, like because there are specific issues in each of these areas. Gay rights and Sasewu, the female genital or female circumcision. All these.
Then I want you to be very specific with the questions, and then I can, deal with them.
In Liberia. So let's bring me to some of the present issue, and let's hear some position of the ANC. For example, on war crime courts, on taking part in the Weah step down movement, so let's go step by step in some issues. Let's start with the issue of war crime court. What does the ANC believe? Where does the ANC stand? All right, we seem to be having some issue there. Let me bring in a caller. Caller, I can write down your question even if Mr. Mamba is not available.
All participants are unmuted.
Caller, your name.
Yeah, you talking to me? My name is Ali V. Kamara, calling from Maryland. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing Steve. How are you?
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good. What I really wanted to talk about was something that you already brought forth to the young man, Mr. Mobile. He made mention of several things, including inclusiveness, effectiveness, accountability. There was a lot of agitable phrases, but there were no details. These are no strange thing he's saying. He's saying that He's saying that they will do something differently from that of the CDC, or some things that have never been done since the inception of Liberia. But everything he said, people already said those things. Political parties have always said all of those things, and then when they get into offices, they tend to play deaf ear to the promises that they have made. So what is the guarantee to the Liberian people that ANC will actually do what they say, which had several governments, and they all said the same thing? So why should we believe that what he is saying is different? And I want an emphatic answer as per the war crime court, like you said. What is, I'm on the phone, folks, man, on the phone. What is the ANC stand? Because every time we ask Mr. Arizona Comey this question, he always does it. He always does it, just like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, just like everybody else. So we are sensing some sort of shittiness in his behavior. Me as an individual, I am yet to see Mr. Arizona Comey exhibit any form of leadership or to even show an aura of a leader. I have not seen it since I've seen him in 2017. I have not seen anything that he has shown that he can be a leader. So when will Arizona Comey actually begin to show the Liberian people that he can rule? But Mr. Ja, as you know, Liberia is a tough society, based on the people level of intelligence and intellectualism. In order to actually rule Liberia, you have to be strict. Mr. Arizona Comey seems to be a weakling to me, and that's my opinion. I apologize. What can Mr. Mulba tell me to reassure my conscience that Mr. Arizona Comey can actually take Liberia out of the dungeon it has lived in for all these years? That's all I have to say right now.
Yeah, but before I let you go, because you said something that when will Mr. Alexander Comey show that he can lead, that he's a leader? What are you looking for that will tell you that he's demonstrating that he's a leader?
Leader, the first is, for some of us who've done management, the first pillar in leadership is what we call control. Not necessarily to be in control, not necessarily to control people, but you have to be in control of the situation. We have seen several instances when Mr. Arizona Comey has not been in control. One of those instances happens to be the Cape Mal County by-election situation, and so many other things where where people from the party actually dictate to Mr. Alexander Cummings. And I made mention of the war crime court. The war crime, for him to be so indecisive over the years, over the issue of war crimes court, that's weakness on his part as far as I am concerned. I do not have millions of dollars as the claim he does. I have never been a COO, but I have a clear and emphatic answer to the war crime court. Simple as that. There is no legal or technical thinking. If you are in favor of this, you say you are in favor of it. You know, you can't be beaten around the bush. So we want to know from this guy, we want straight answers, we want direct answers, we want honest answers when it pertains to very important matters in Liberia. We do not want people beating around the bush. That's all politics. If this guy is telling us that Mr. Alexander Cummings is bringing new politics, well, talking, when you talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. We are looking at actions. We're not looking at words no more. We're not looking at phrases no more because we've seen several of those. And until I am still observing to see, but until otherwise, Mr. Cummings cannot handle Liberia. Liberia is rough. Liberia is tough. It requires not just iron hand, but you have to actually look at the red stone and put it on the wrong person in order for them to get straightened up. And Mr. Alexander Cummings does not have the guts. He's too lenient. He's too soft. And I think he's more, a lot of people say Mr. Alexander Cummings is a new kid on the block and he's not a politician. But he behaves like a politician because he always want to look good. He does not want to take a hard role, you know, because he might lose the election or whatsoever. And those are inklings to let us know that this man is going to fool the people. I want to see you from the beginning actually stand your ground regardless of whether you will win 2023 elections. Don't be political about anything. Mr. Alexander Cummings has been political about everything, Mr. Jeff.
Well,
and we need to see more of him in terms of being strong.
To his defense, though, those who have nothing to protect, they will just talk, right? So being very cautious, I don't think it's a bad thing. What's your take?
Well, being very cautious, it can be a bad thing because my question then is, I began to question the overall, I mean, the aftermath. If you are conscious now of what you say, I'm thinking, okay, he or she is only doing this because they want something. They want to acquire something, and once such is acquired, then he come out of the shell. Look, you know, somebody told me once, and said people sometimes are like flower. With the way you water them, that's how they grow. You do not change. For instance, if you put in 1 quart of water on a flower and it's growing, you got to keep on with that 1 quart. Once you change it, the flower will die. So the way you show us now who you are, that's what we want to see in the future. For me, first impression is very important. Since I've been knowing him, he's too soft, he's too lenient, and because he's not decisive, he cannot be a president. A president is somebody who can take firm decisions, affirmative actions, and actually stand by them if he knows that it is correct. Mr. Alexander Cummings has not shown to me individually that he has the guts to stand up, you know, for anything, pretty much. Henry Costa, let's take Henry Costa for example. Henry Costa have shook Mr. Alexander Cummings. Let's agree with Henry Costa is a talk show host. It's not as big as far as the Liberian political arena is concerned compared to Mr. Cummings. Okay. Mr. Cummings is a political leader. Henry Costa is a talk show host. Why is Henry Costa's comment swaying Mr. Cummings' decisions? That in itself is weakness. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Thank you. I got Mr. Momba Kesseli now to respond to your question. What Aliyu is saying, Mr. Kesseli, I don't know if you heard them. He said, people, he questioned whether Mr. Alexander Cummings is a good, has a leadership skill because he's not decisive in taking decisions. He's not strong. He's showed to be a weakling because he's not definite. Or for instance, on the issue of war crime code, he has never given a definitive position. So and then the issue of Henry Costa is Costa was able to shake him.
Well, you know, it's quite laughable. If someone will say Mr. Cummings is not definitive. The point here is, I don't think you can point out any Liberian politician now who is making tough decisions irrespective of what the consequences will be, as Mr. Cummins is doing. Now, for someone to think in the least of their imagination that Mr. Cummins and the ANC will sway from one place to another because of a talk show host, that's preposterous to say the least. That's
Why don't you give me an example, sir? Mobile, give me an example.
That's preposterous. No, you should give me an example. You should give me an example of where we changed a decision we made because a talk show host said something.
No, go ahead.
The issue of the march coming up on December 12th. The Alexander Cummins that we know would have never made any statement if he was not somehow a loggerhead with Henry Costa.
Okay, let me address that specifically. Now, I need to address that, please.
Yeah, go
Understand?
ahead. Thank you, Eliu. You can take your answer off the air while my guests address those concerns.
Okay.
Understand, the ANC is an institution. That decision to not support the 1230 protest was not made by Mr. Cummins. It was made by the executive committee of the ANC. And we did not make that decision or take that vote because of a talk show host. The issue is we as a party, we have reached a conclusion that the December 30 protest is undemocratic, it is anti-peace, it is repugnant, and it is unconstitutional. We did not make the decision because someone opened a loud mouth and said something. No. Now, the point is, we made our decision considering where we are as a country and as a people. You want to look at the history of protest actions that have been taken to remove democratically elected governments in Liberia and even around the world. Look, let's roll back from 1980 when Willie Tubber got killed by Sama Kando and other members of the AFL. You saw what happened. We went to war. Now we come forward to 1990. Sama Kando himself was killed by people who felt that a democratically elected president, was not serving the people and that they had to remove him through undemocratic means. Liberia went back to 15 years of civil crisis. Look, we have history of Liberia struggling and suffering from the hands of people who overthrow, democratically elected governments. And we as a party, we made our decision. Look here at the precedents in history. We cannot repeat the mistakes of the past. We have to change. Look, if Liberians are calling a protest tomorrow to protest against the incompetence of this government, to protest against the corruption in the Weah-led government, look, you can rest assured the ANC will be at the forefront of that protest. But any protest that is meant to bring an undemocratic end to a democratically elected government is treasonous, and the ANC cannot form part of such protest. We don't make our decisions based on loud talkers around the country.
Mr. Kasali, what is unconstitutional about a peaceful protest?
No, the protest is not peaceful.
Okay.
Look, the motive of the protest is very clear, that they will remain in the street, they will mount pressure on President George Weah until he steps down. Now, there are several questions you want to ask. You think George Weah would decide to step down just because people get in the street? That would not happen. George Weah is determined to end the 6-year term given to him by the Liberian people. You saw what the Weah government did to students who had gathered peacefully to protest against their teachers being out of school. You saw what Weah did. Look, President Weah came on the scene and he ordered his security forces to forcefully remove the students. And you saw what happened to kids. Now, you imagine what will happen to Liberian citizens that will go out there and remain in the street and say they will not leave until George Weah steps down.
Yeah, but if those people are not
violence, there will be matter against them by the Weah-led government.
But
no, suppose other Liberians decide that, okay, we elected Mr. Weah, we are coming to protest, we don't want anybody to come here, he has to end his 6-year term. Look, you open a whole can of worms and then few weeks later, Liberia will be into a full-blown war. Is that what you want? No, we didn't make our decision because we want to please somebody.
Mr. Kesseley, You give example. The instances you cited were all violent. One, the violent overthrow of President Doe, the violent overthrow of President Turbo. Those were not protests. If people come together to protest,
those were protests. No, those were protests. Those were protests.
The incursion,
those were protests.
The rebel incursion is a protest.
Those were protests. Listen, the only difference is the dimension at which it all began. Those were all protest actions. Look, when you gather as a group, the very people who went to Butu and other places, they started engaging the government. Now, when the government did not listen, they decided that they had to use arms. Suppose the people who are calling for the 1230 protests get in the street and Joshua refuses to step down. So their next action is they should go to Nima County and start another civil crisis to remove Joshua? Is that what you're telling us?
But you are making an assumption that
No, I'm not making an assumption. That's what will happen, because listen now, when a government feels threatened, she has to protect herself. Let's be very clear. Look,
so in essence, are you saying that because the way the government is going to respond, we should all fold our hands and don't protest or don't do peaceful marches?
No. What we are saying, the government was elected to serve Liberia for 6 years.
Yeah.
Let us ensure that the government ends her tenure in 2023. When that happens, we will be given another chance to kick the government out democratically. And besides, we are telling the protesters, if you want to remove Joshua, the Constitution provides a way through which you can remove a certain president. There is nowhere, and I'm challenging you, Dennis Jah, and your audience. I'm challenging anyone to come and provide a specific line in the Constitution that says Liberian citizens should use protests to pressure a certain president to resign or to relinquish power. There's nowhere in the Constitution that says that. What is inscribed within our Constitution is that if Liberians want to impeach the government for several acts, they should go to the legislature. Look, go are the days where we will put our citizens in harm's way as human shields to achieve our selfish political motives. If we want to remove Joshua, go to the legislature. You have legislators who are in the opposition. Some legislators who want to support, the call for Joshua to be impeached. Why can't you go to the legislature? Why do you want to put Liberian citizens in harm's way? Look, if you come and say you're sitting in the street and not leave, the economy will crumble. The government is doing terribly bad. The government is largely incompetent, when we all realize that. And you are going to mount additional pressure on this government that has no means to address the problems we face as a country and people? Mr. Jah, is that what you want? You want Liberia to go back to war? No. Listen, we have to ensure we hold Joshua's feet to the fire, but let us do it within the confines, within the ambience of the Liberian Constitution. The Constitution provides that we can gather and present petitions to our government. And that's why the ANC as a political party is a concerned protest. Because in that our government to address specific issues, when you go to a you are calling the government to step down. A democratically elected government to step down. If Joshua steps down, who takes over from Joshua? If Joshua refuses to step down, what happens then?
Okay, let me bring in a caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
I'm Kesali Dava. I'm calling from Texas.
Kesali, welcome to Focus on Liberia. What's the question or comment you have for Mr. Kesali?
Yeah, thank you very much for putting me on your forum this evening, Mr. Jah. I also want to say thanks to your young guest. I actually decided to stay silent and just listen to the program that I normally do, but I mean, he made me to actually want to make the call. Where he said there is nowhere in the Constitution that says that Because I hope you have a Constitution with you there, so you can please read for us Article 1, Article 17, and Article 62 of the 1986 Constitution. You know, the writer, the framer of our Constitution were not dumb. The framers of our Constitution were so smart to the extent that they knew that these things were going to happen. Wherein there will be a government that will not lead the people right, and then when the people decide to use the legal means, they wouldn't want to come down. The Constitution frames it in 3 different categories, which are all legal. One, Article 1 gives direct power to the people. Direct power to the people to assemble and to remove their leader for security reasons if they feel threatened, if they are not being served right. Article 1. Article 2, which is a combination of Article 1 and Article 62, also makes it clear, give us a way that we can remove our leader. And Article 62 tell us to use our representatives, who are the senators and the entire legislators, to remove elected officials. Read Article 1, read Article 17, read Article 62. Those are 3 legal means by which you can remove an elected official.
Okay.
Having said that,
Hold on. Let me read
is it
them.
right? Yeah, okay, I'm here.
Okay. All power is inherent in the people. All free governments are instituted by their authority and for their benefit, and they have the right to alter and reform the same when their safety and happiness so require. That's Article 1.
You hear that?
Article 17. All persons at all times in an orderly and peaceable manner shall have the right to assemble and consult upon the common good, to instruct their representatives, to petition the government or other functionaries for the redress of grievances, and to associate fully with others or refuse to associate in political parties, trade union, and other organizations.
That's 2.
Okay.
Article 62.
The president and vice president may be removed from office by impeachment for treason, bribery, and other felonies, violation of the Constitution, or gross misconduct.
That's it. There are three instances, legal instances given by the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. 3. Either of them is legal under the law.
Yeah, but
So for the brother to come out there and say that.
No, what he's saying is what specifically authorizes the people to march on the president and say step down.
Article 1 that you just read legally authorizes the people to alter. Article 1 defines the word alter.
What does
If
alter
the
mean?
insecure.
What is the process of this?
Change.
How?
Change.
How?
Protest. It gives people the right to assemble, Mr. John. You just read it in the Constitution. It gives people the right to assemble, to protest peacefully, not violently, peacefully.
All right. Thank you, Mr. So it's Article 1. Article 1, Article 62, Article 17. Thank you so much. Let me bring in my next caller.
Thank you, Mr. John.
Thank you. Next caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Christmas Saley, and I'm calling from beautiful Maryland.
Christmas, who told you Maryland is beautiful? How are you doing today?
I'm blessed. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we just lost our guest, but go on, Christmas. Your question or comment?
I know the guest. You didn't lose the guest. The guest left to go and make more research, or to go and get consultation. No, with people who feed him the information. Sorry?
The guests have some technical issues.
All right, I will hold it at that. Holding for the sake of argument, the guest has some technical issue. Mr. Ja.
Yes, sir.
One thing the guests failed to address, though, why the ANC as a party, knowing that protest is illegal, protest will undermine the peace and stability for this ANC. I'm talking about the social club, because ANC is not a political party, it's a social club. But that's not the issue.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. ANC supported June 7 protests, provide cadres and militants to parade the principal streets of Monrovia. ANC did not say the protest of June 7 was undermining the peace and stability. But today, the arrogance, the ignorance, and the hypocrisy in the ANC against one man, Brother Costa, today, all of a sudden, protest is illegal. You see the hypocrisy? But a few months ago, protest was not illegal. ANC was in the street. Few days ago, it was not undermining the peace. ANC was in the street. The intent of June 7 protest was for the people to stay in the street until President Weah can solve some of the issues, until President Weah can make a decision on welcome school. That was the intent, for the people to stay in the street. And ANC supported that struggle. How come? Because they have personal issue with Brother Chris. Ah, my man. See, brother, I know I'm on air, but
Mr.
sometimes the
Sele.
hypocrisy can shock me.
Mr. Sele, we
Yes, sir.
live and learn, though. What if, I mean, if you, maybe that was a mistake,
Maybe that was a mistake.
right? I mean, so can they keep changing? Can they keep doing it if they found out that it's no longer viable?
But then what is the mistake? Because there was in the protest and peaceful assembly of June 7, there was no violence. So I don't see the mistake they learned from. If it is anything, I think that that should make him understand that this is the 21st century. This is our generation and not the generation of Doe. This is not the generation of trouble and terror, where they will take bazookas, they will take guns and run to the butchers to solve their problem. In 2019, our civilized generation will take banners and placards. We did what people do in Lebanon. Today, the Lebanon Prime Minister has stepped down. I promise you, there was nowhere in the Constitution that said, get in the street and protest. But when the Constitution says, when the people feel that their existence is threatened, when the people feel that their happiness is threatened, when the people feel that their security is threatened, they have the right to change their government. So that brother will not speak to that. But I don't expect him to speak to that, because when they sit in the low, small clique, you know, I mean, look, just listen to the hypocrisy, listen to the arrogance and the ignorance from their social club. ANC can only win election during the convention. I will rest. Thank you for having me.
Thank
ANC
you.
can only win election during the convention.
Thank you, but the ANC is a registered political party. I don't know where you're coming from with this.
ANC is a social club parading in the corridors of a political party. It's a social club. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. Sele. Okay, we still have issue with Mr. Kesali coming back. So another caller on the line, your name and where you calling from? Hello, caller. All right, if you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Our guest is Mr. Momba Kesali. We are discussing the viability of the opposition in the name of the Alternative National Congress, ANC. Is this party viable enough to replace the current administration? So Mr. Kesali is making the case for the ANC. If you are here and you want to take part in the discussion, you can post your comments on Facebook, or you can call 605-313-6006, 6004, or and the code is 791403. All right, there are some responses here. Mr. Emmanuel Faflin said the June 7 protest was not about asking for the president to step down, but to correct issues that affect the Liberian people. Mr. Foreign Boy DJ Wilmont, why you keep comparing Liberia with those countries like Lebanon and so forth, that their president has been in power for over 30 years. Mr. Yankwe Boma said, if you read further, Article 1, reference by the election means to change government. Read the entire Article 1 to the end, not just the first line. I'll do just that. The wishes of the governed, the people shall have the right at such period and in such manner as provided for under this constitution to cause their public servants to leave office and to fill vacancies by regular elections and appointments. Well, we are not constitutional scholars. We may need some explanation to know what exactly these things mean. Oh yeah, Mr. Yankwe Boma just did. Let's see other. Okay, so those are the comments. We still await Mr. Kessley. Issues that we want to discuss now will be specifically about the ANC stance on certain issues, including the War Crime Court. We also want to talk about its political leader, Mr. Alexander Cummings. One of the questions here is people keep saying either Mr. Cummings is weak. I don't know what that means. We want Mr. Mobile to address that. We also want him to address Mr. Cummings and about knowing the politics of Liberia or knowing the terrain. I think in his colleague from the CPP accused him of not knowing the terrain, so to speak. We want to see or want him to react to how well Mr. Cummings knows the area and knows the people. We want him to speak to that. We want to also talk about the ANC as member of the CPP. There seems to be a crack in the CPP. What are they doing about it? And specifically, we want to talk about how the CPP intend to move forward. There was a little issue there was a big issue, let me say, with the election in Cape Mount when the ANC pulled back her candidate for that seat. Okay. So let's wait a little bit to hear from Mr. Momba Kessley, our guest. In the meantime, if you want to call to talk to the issue, you can call to make the case for or against the ANC. Our number to call is 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. All right, another comments here from Mr. Nyankwe Boma. The ANC will lead Liberia and there is nothing that will stop him. Mr. Cummings is very smart. His decision concerning the December 30th protest, if he support that protest and become president, in the future, he will get the same treatment. That's the comment from Farm Boy. Foreign Boy DJ Wilmot. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us, I don't want to make this a monologue. So if you have anything to contribute, please call in. The number is posted. We still were waiting Mr. Kessley, our guest tonight. He told me that it's raining in Monrovia, so he was having some technical issues. But again, I must thank him for accepting to join the call. We have made several attempts to get members and officials of the ANC on this platform, but none have worked. So we thank Mr. Kessley for being available.
This is Aliyu.
Excuse me?
Mr. Job, this is Aliyu calling back.
Okay, Mr. Aliyu. Go ahead. You have.
Yeah, this particular show is stimulating. We'll get something I will check that we got to clear on the show. The boy here, so today we got to clear on this show.
Yeah, but when you not take time to go to the boy, he will clear you.
No, you see, I just wanted to make something clear here. The Constitution did not say that the people should change the government by protesting. It did not say that. The changes that the Constitution is talking about is by changing the people through legal means. There's only one way of changing the president or the vice president is through the House of Legislature. None of us who are not legal scholars can sit there and interpret it. So let's not give Mr. Mulba a hard time with some kind of ambiguity. That's for the temple of justice. Here we are trying to impeach Donald Trump. A lot of the people do not like Donald Trump. We can't march in the street and take Donald Trump from the White House. It has to go through Nancy Pelosi and other people. And then at the end of the day, it goes to the Supreme Court. It is the same system in Liberia. It has to go through the Supreme Court from the House of Senate, the House of Legislature to the Supreme Court for interpretation. So let us not even do it on the issue of protest. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives us the right to protest and bring anybody down. We have the right to freedom to assemble, and that's under the issue of freedom of speech. Yeah.
Are you saying we have the right to protest, but we can't protest other issues? We can protest other issues. Is that what you're saying?
First of all, it's just this is what I'm trying to explain. We have the right to assemble, and this is just under the banner of freedom of speech. We have the right to assemble and to give petition. All of the articles that this guy talked about, Article 1, Article 17, Article 62, it all gave us the right to assemble. Let's look at the word protest.
Assemble to do what, man?
Something you,
assemble to do what?
For example, we want Judge Weah out. We will assemble, we will give our petition to either the House of Senate and a copy to the executive branch of government if we so wish to do that, and then we wait for a redress. Anything about bringing the president down, you have to go to the Capitol building, not to the executive mansion. So, in fact, protest in itself is controlled by government, by the security forces. Let's define protest. You have the right to protest, but you can be controlled by the government. The government can tell you can't protest here, you can protest there. It is within the rights of the government. Let's look at protest for itself. Protest is not an absolute right. You cannot just run in the streets. You run in the street because the government might be democratic, it might allow you to do so. But the government also has the right to tell you can only walk on the sidewalk or you can only gather at so and so. The government has the right to do that. They do that to us in New York all the time. You know that, Mr. John. You don't just run all over the Cairo in New York.
No, that's what I want to get clear. Protestation, going in the street to protest out rising prices or anything, you're fine with that. The only thing you shouldn't protest is to say president should come down.
See, I'm fine with freedom of speech. I'm fine with freedom of expression because that's where everything boils down to.
Go in the street today and say, well, we don't like the law that was given to say, well, there should be, people should marry as many number of husbands. Other issue. But when it comes to
I like the power that can allow us to marry any amount of women. So I like that. But here's the thing. Well, here's what I'm saying.
No, I'm just giving a very weird example to say, well, you can protest any other thing, but when it comes to calling the president to step down, you can't do that. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
That is not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I am saying is we misunderstand assembling, which means gathering together in a particular location, to running in the streets. Running in the street, that is not necessarily protesting. That is hooliganism. So as a result of running in the street, things do happen. Remember, by law, the police is responsible to protect you. So if you run in the street and run in traffic and somebody hits you with their vehicle, what becomes of that? I'm not answering the question.
Yeah, I'm saying because protest, we don't have problem with protest. Or do you? I don't want you to call it running in the street. I do not have problem with protest. I have problem with the way it is carried out. No, so if it is peaceful and people call the president or a minister or a legislator to step down, you're okay with that as long as it is peaceful.
But they have to follow the process. If it is peaceful, that's fine. It's one thing being peaceful. It's another thing following the right channel. The only way they can do that is to go to the House of Legislators. That's what I'm saying. So you can go to the Capitol building.
If I sit down home and I want to go on hunger strike until the president resigns, I can do that too.
Oh, that one I have been there. You can do that one. You have the right to do that. As long as you don't disturb the peace. But, Vafre Dollar did this one time. He was advocating for Muslims to be included in the national holidays and stuff. He sat in the Capitol building, sat on the floor for hours. He got up and he left. I mean, you're not bothering anybody, but you cannot go on Tubman Boulevard and block the streets.
No. We don't.
You cannot do that.
But just conclude. Let me bring you another caller.
Okay, so let us clarify that the protests, especially these kinds of protests that are being organized based upon vengeance, based upon some personal aggrandizement, we cannot continue to allow our people to be used just for us to achieve our political ambitions. Some young boy wants to become something in Liberia in the political arena because we all know that that is the easiest way for anybody to get rich. So in so doing, he used his media influence to have people, run up in the streets.
Where did you stand on the June 7th? Because the ANC and Mr. Cummings supported the June 7th protest. What changed?
That is one of the things I stand together with ANC. I understand that I got problem with the way his decision was swayed by Henry Costa's action. I have problems with that, but I had said this clearly. It is not necessary to put young Liberians in the streets to hamper the already fragile political, democratic, and security system that Liberia already has. Okay. What we are saying is you can have signatures and stuff like that and petition the House of Senate and the House of Representatives to begin an impeachment proceeding. But my argument also is, say we want to use Sudan, we want to use all the other places we're arguing about. Mind you, Sudan has a sophisticated military organization. Sudan have military people who have master's degree in different fields. They are well-educated people in the military. We want to compare ourselves to Egypt. The Egyptian president, the one who took over, those are educated people. I mean, scholars in the military. Who's going to take over your country if you just put people in the street and put all your people down? Who are you going to put in the military? Do you even have that? So what I'm saying is it's okay for you to go in the street, express your rights, be respectful. Remember where your right ends, other people's rights begin. Just because you want to protest to get just Weah done, you cannot stop the taxi driver, the bus driver from making their daily meals. You cannot stop the other people from going to school. That's what we are saying. So I'm closing by saying we can have this protest. Remember, protest is not a right. Protest is not a right. It is a privilege. It is just a strike to say I'm striking and I want to be recognized as somebody. You're trying to play on the conscience of the government. They do not have to listen to you. But because you are their people, you're playing on their conscience and drawing their attention. They don't have to listen to you. So the only way forward is to go through the House of Legislators. That is the process. Regardless of how many articles in the Constitution, you still have to go through the legislators. But let me close by saying I still maintain that Mr. Alexander Cummings cannot be the best fit for Liberia, not at this time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. By the way, on a Friday, we are going to have a debate right here on Focus on Liberia on the George Weah Step Down campaign. If you are for, please inbox us. If you are against, inbox us. We're going to have this exclusively on Focus on Liberia. Let's debate the issue. I have another caller on the line, 704-733-8486. Your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mr. Robert. I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mr. Robert, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
I just wanted to throw some light on one thing your guest said and this other caller that just left.
Can you speak a little louder?
They said that
give us some volume, please.
They said that if you want to remove the government, you should go through the legislature and the other people that in the House. And this other caller just came by and said, you see, in America, we're trying to impeach Donald Trump. We're going through Nancy Pelosi. And Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House. So now, if y'all want us to do that, to go through that, it's not wrong. But now, are these people not under the umbrella of the government? Will they do what the citizens say they should do, or go on or obey the voice of the government? Because we are seeing it now in the bureau that whatsoever thing that happens, there's nobody that will speak, no law or no lawmaker or somebody will come and speak and say, look at the kids are just want to protest for the teachers to get paid. What happened? The tear gas there. Which one of the lawmaker or is the speaker or the vice president came out to condemn it or say something? Now you want to go through these people to impeach the president. That's good thing, but are they going to succor or listen to the citizen or listen to the president? Who are they serving? If you see it, they're serving the president. They're not serving the citizen, because whatever happens to the citizen, nobody will come out to condemn it. Nobody will come out to condemn it. And other people are saying that you want to compare Lebanon or the other country with Liberia. You see why we don't grow? We don't grow because, like, somebody leave from America now to go carry good system in Liberia. Like, say, don't put there here, or this is why you do this, what do it be right. They will start asking you think that America here, eh? Don't bring your America thing here. That's why we don't grow. Because
So let's
see
go
in a vast country, compared to our country, people step against it and begin to ask you. Now they say that
I get your point.
With Lebanon. Are they now human beings? The people went in the street
Mr. Robert,
peacefully.
Mr. Robert,
Because of the sake of peace,
Mr. Robert,
the whole government left for the people to have peace. Now, people are saying we should
Mr. Robert,
compare Liberia to Lebanon.
Mr. Robert,
That's why we never go on. We
Hello?
can't see the development out there and implement what we saw in advanced country in our country. So we say we'll always be in the mud because we don't want to compare other countries with our country. How will our country be advanced when we don't bring?
All right, let me take the next caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Is it me?
6.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Is it 9634? Yeah, hello. This is
Yeah,
Dan.
go
How are
ahead. Your name and where you calling from?
you? My name is Ben, and I'm calling from Minnesota.
Ben, you can please speak a little louder. Your question or comment?
Oh, I have a comment to give.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so so with regards to what we are talking about, it seems to me most people sometimes are not getting it right, and the reason why I'm saying they're not getting it right here is this. There are 3 major ways in which a president can be removed from the Republic of Liberia. Anything other than those 3 ways is not legitimate, and people need to get this and get it clear. There are only 3 ways. 1 is by death, 2 is by impeachment, and the 3rd one is when the president becomes incapacitated. Those are the 3 methods by which a president can be removed from the Republic of Liberia. Any other thing other than that is not legitimate. It does not mean that the president can be removed by other ways, but any of those ways will not be legitimate. And that's why we are saying, those of us who are saying that, that we do not want the government to be removed, it's because of its illegitimacy. That's why we don't want to happen. Because if it happened now, people would take it as a trend, and other people will come to and do the same thing. And we don't want those things to keep happening over and over.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. On Friday, we're going to have an exclusive debate on the issue of the Weah step down. But for the topic tonight, the viability of the ANC. What do you make of the ANC? Is the ANC a viable alternative to the current administration or no?
No way. No, they're not viable at all. They are not viable. And so here is the major reason why the ANC are not viable. Because of you are talking about ANC, not the other group, I don't know how you call it, COP. Well, the ANC has a whole lot of work to do. They could be viable, but as of now, where they stand, I don't think they are. Because there are a lot of infighting, and most of the people who are here from from overseas seems to present themselves to be the smartest, and any other person, nobody else views, matters. And if you have those kind of attitude, it does not help your party at all. That's the reason. So I don't. Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for your contribution. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we lost our guest, and we've not been able to get him back. So we're going to be ending the broadcast shortly. Again, what we're discussing is the viability of the ANC to replace the current administration come 2023. And our guest has been Mr. Moba Kesali. He's the Secretary of the Youth Congress of the Alternative National Congress. And we didn't finish, but we hope to have him back when things improve. And again, our invitation to Mr. Alexander Cummings still stands. We have tried on several occasions to have him, but to no avail. We have tried to get the secretary, Mr. Aloysius Stowe, that did not work. We have tried to get Mr. Ta Wangbe. We've tried to get Ms. Mona Fahad and all these people from the ANC, but that has not been possible. And other surrogates of the ANC have been extended invitation, but we still don't have them. So we really thank Mr. Moba Kesali for coming on tonight to discuss the viability of the ANC. On Friday, we're going to be having a debate, and more people are joining the debate for the Weah Step Down campaign. Are you for it or are you against it? We can have as many as 10 persons in the debate. So if you are available tomorrow on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, you can still inbox us. Let us know where you stand so you can be part of the debate. It is always a good thing for us to debate these issues. It is always good for us to debate this issue in an organized, civil, and respectful manner. I know a lot of talk go on social media, but here you have to organize your thoughts and present it in a very civil way. So let's come here and debate, because whatever we say here, history, God, and posterity is going to judge us as to where we stand. Don't wait until the thing happened and then we say, oh, if I knew. Or as in Liberia, we say, if it, I will know. So it's time now that we can debate and take our sides and see where we stand, so that our history, God can be our judge. Again, on Sunday, we're going to continue our discussion on African unity and African collaboration. We have the Queen of the AU to be a part, and we also have a retired professor, an African American, who's also going to come and talk to us about the whole Liberia and American connection, and also about the rift that currently exists between, or the gap between African Americans and African immigrants. We want to see how we all can work together to impact our country and our people, also our communities here. On Saturday, our economic forum will continue. We're going to be talking more about investing in Liberia, and we're going to be looking at the tourism sector. You know, Batawi Falls and all the different tourist areas, we're going to be looking at that. Other countries are making millions and millions, if not billions of dollars from tourism. So every Saturday at 3 o'clock, we have our business and economic forum, and we want all of you to be part of it. If you have other topics that we want us to discuss during the business and economic forum, please feel free. It is always a pleasure to have all of you. We want to thank you for your support. Keep visit us on YouTube, and please subscribe to our channel. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers, so by some means we can start to monetize or make an income from our views and our subscribers on Facebook. So please do us a favor. If you can help in any way to support us, please do that. Here at Focus on Liberia, we try to educate, to elevate, and to promote all things Liberia. Until next time, I want to thank Mr. Kesali for coming. I want to thank all of you who participated, either by commenting on Facebook or by calling in. It is always our pleasure to have you participate. It's always our pleasure that you keep us here, keep focus on Liberia, keep visiting us, keep talking to us, We are always open. We are in fact growing our tent. We want to be able to have other shows and other programs on focus on Liberia. So you can even have your individual talk show. Come, let's put it all together so you can have a slot on focus on Liberia to present your show. As long as our views are, we are, our mission and our vision, our goal all the same. Hey, come, let's do this together. Until next time, on behalf of all the crew that are working with us here, we want to say have a very, very good night and God bless you.